And hello once more. Welcome back for part 3 of painting the skin of Verthandi, hopefully the last part. I've now mixed a highlight where I added quite a lot of off-whites to my base mixture. And we're going to see how this looks. Let's start with the face this time. Let's start with the tip of the nose. That's brighter, yes, and a little bit here on the forehead and on the tops of the cheekbones. And perhaps bring it down to the upper lip here. Now it's very watery, so it needs to be brought out a little bit. Yeah, I'm rethinking the pale lips. They might need darkening. I realize I haven't highlighted the side of the nose here. I'm going back to the previous mixture to do that, because the change was a bit too abrupt. And also fixing here. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything more on the top lip now. That will be the final highlights. When I start getting into the white here, or rather the off-whites, that's a signal that I should be nearing the end of the highlighting. And just putting some spots of color here on the tops of the breasts. How do they look? I don't know. As I said, we might have to go back and sort of reconnect all of the highlights to each other and blend everything in with a final glaze. Because you see the jump here is kind of stark. But I'm not putting this highlight everywhere. Just the places that would receive the most light. And it seems it's not watery enough. I need more. I need this to be thinner. There we go. And though not for the fingers. For the fingers, I actually need the paint to be slightly thicker. Again, falling silent here. Sorry about that. But I'm working kind of quickly here. I have to see, yeah, just smear it out a little bit, and then feather it in even more. This is getting a very bright highlight. I think this leg is a bit more forward, so from now this is going to be also going to be the final highlight for this right thigh, and probably Yeah, the final highlight for the abs as well. I need to smooth that transition out. Wow, that does not look neat. Well, I'll fix that more later. You can see my brush strokes here. That's not really ideal, but we will fix it in post, as they say. Move these out of the way. I'm not sure about the change of lighting. Yeah, this is probably too much. I need to glaze over this with a little bit of the previous color. Tone it down slightly. And the fingers, I'm just gonna highlight the knuckles here. Or the tips of the fingers here. I might need to do a little bit more on the fingers because I painted between the fingers with a brown liner and some of it got, of course, on the fingers. I need to cover that up. And this is so translucent that it won't be too much of a problem. This transition needs a bit of a glaze. In fact, once I'm done with the highlights, the work that's going to be left is going back and smoothing out transitions with intermediate glazes of intermediate colors. Because right now it's kind of sharp, and it should be sharp on certain places, like, for example, the face. The face is perfectly alright to have right highlights. I'm thinking really only one more highlight should do it. In fact, taking a look at it now, let's go straight to adding a little bit more. Oops, that was quite a big dollop of off-white. The air pressure from shaking the bottle made too much come out, so now I have a lot of off-white on my palette. Gonna have to find a use for that later. And I'm just gonna mix up one final really bright highlight. I'm just going to take a tiny amount of it in my brush and take it to the tip of the nose, top of the cheekbones, tip of the chin, the very tops of the breasts, and like the top ridge just down to the knee of this thigh. Maybe a bit on the top of this arm. In fact, oops, out of frame. I think I've highlighted. Okay, sorry for quitting on you in the middle of a sentence there. The limit on the camera cut in. I'm gonna test something here. I might regret it, but we'll fix it later if it turns out bad. The lips, I'm just gonna take some Care Bird Crimson and do not a wash, but just a stain. If you see, you can not even see that there's any of it on the brush here. And I'll just use the tip. See, that darkened them slightly and give it more of a red sheen. And because this is kind of translucent, you can still see the highlighting I did underneath it. That didn't change too much, did it? But it's better. I think it's enough. Now, to finish up the skin, what do I like, what do I not like about this? I don't like the belly. I'm mixed up a very thin glaze of an intermediate shade, and I'm gonna brush this all over. To even it out a bit. There's a brush stroke there we need to fix. That has to go. This is tricky, getting this right. Honestly, I can go back and forth with this for a long time and not be entirely happy. But okay. Oh, hear that noise in the background? That was a download that finished. And anyway, I'm getting a sort of blinking warning for my battery here, and I think you get the general idea of how to do this. Like I said, there's some places, like I'm not sure about the transition here, where I can go in, glaze a bit to even it out. And I can keep doing this, and I'll go back and look at it after it dries, and I'll do some more, and I might re-establish a highlight in some places. But now the balance is looking a bit better. The main highlights are looking from somewhat above the tops of the boobs and the tops of this thigh, and the belly is not as highlighted. It's more subtle. I think I'll stop here for now. And if I come up with anything more to say, I will mention it in the next video. The next video is going to be a completely different part of the miniature. By the way, I decided I need to tone down the highlight on the butt cheeks because the cloak is going to block them for most of it. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to do a radically different type part of the model next time. And check back in the next video to see what that is. I don't have any good closing remarks, so I'll just say this is Dakian, and for now, I'm signing off.